class can do that. That's something the Dragon Knights specifically do because of both spiked armor and the fact that they have no magic or regen at all. I imagine you could do it with the Sorcerer too, probably?
I've done it with Templar.
Really?
Yeah, I did it with Rune Focus. And if
Oh,
there was a lot of
God.
movement, I did it with Immovable.
I hadn't thought about using Immovable that way. I didn't realize it gave you enough armor for that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it gets you pretty close to cap. The healer that was healing me was using Blessing and Protection, so that actually put me at cap.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that so much. My original impression was that it was something that, like one specific class could do, and that's really what set the Dragon Knight apart, was that option. And I could see sorcerers doing it with bound armor as well. If that's something that everybody's gonna do, which it sounds like, why wouldn't you? I don't like that.
Well, the thing I like about it is that it's not necessarily better. It's just a different route you can go, because I think heavy armor, like Phasius, is probably more partial to heavy armor tanking than he is light armor, just because he could go more stamina and block more and that sort of thing. Also, this is an awesome fight if anyone is watching. We are absolutely just slaying people right here. So with the game being plus 18 or whatever, any chance we'll see catapults being loaded with corpses and have either a fear / debuff effect or something like that? There already is rotting meat that you can throw. There's a lot of blood that's been added to the game recently, like with melee attacks and things. So I think you will see some. I think you'll see some good things come out of that. Since they got that rating, they just kind of said, "Well, fuck it, we'll just use that to our advantage." And I think that was a good thing that happened.
Yeah, the extra blood effects have been really nice, especially if for some reason you're using first-person view. Not that I would know why you would do that, but they look really good in that perspective.
Extremity, I read all my messages on TF, or at least the best I can, so I'll probably get to it. I can't promise you I'll go through an entire build, but I'll at least give you some feedback. I get a lot of PMs, or I would.
And Zarian, yes, there will be dragons. It is confirmed that Dragon Knights can summon one and ride it around as the mount that breathes fire.
Yeah, we've actually seen that in game. It's pretty cool actually. You should make sure to, if you really like that idea or don't like it, make sure to send an email to ZeniMax and tell them that Erlex told you about it, and they'll really be happy to hear that. Actually, don't do that. They'll probably ban me. Do healers get experience for the heals, or do they need to hit enemies to gain XP and PvP? They get alliance points for healing. Like if you see right now, you'll see like one alliance point just scroll up a lot. Anytime you heal someone who's taking PvP damage, your entire group gets a little bit of XP or alliance points, and I think now you'll even get a small amount of XP. So you sort of want to have a healer in your group because they give you alliance points, and at the same time you want to have DPS in your group so that they can give you alliance points by killing people. So it's sort of a symbiotic relationship where you both want each other in the group so you can gain more points.
I actually don't know an answer to this, but do you gain more alliance points if you get the killing blow, for example, or directly contributed with damage to the kill?
No. In some regards, like your group shares evenly no matter what. But like as far as if a bunch of people who aren't in a group, it comes down to how much you did in the encounter. So if it was a duel between two people and there was or seen 4 people and 2 on each side and there was 1 healer on each side and the fight lasted forever but nobody was in a group, the healer would get an even share because he would have healed so much that it was sort of half his kill or maybe more than half his kill. But if it was like a DPS just straight up owns someone and the healer casts like 1 little heal, then the DPS is going to get the majority of the credit. What is the best skill to build up ultimate? Anything that's AoE and hits multiple times. So, Wall of Elements or what's some other ones? Sorry. Caltrops, that's a good one.
Although I did see they recently just nerfed the gain of Caltrops.
They did just nerf the gain of caltrops. I think
But
because
it was truly
was-
absurd beforehand, though.
yeah, it was crazy. You could throw out caltrops and get like 100 ultimate in a few seconds on a big group.
I imagine Talons is probably really great. I think that's probably one of the strongest PvP abilities there is right now.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you another one that's really strong is most ultimates are actually really strong at generating ultimate. So like Nova and Standard and Overload and things that like hit multiple times that are, usually ultimates do that. Those are really great for gaining ultimate. Erlex, if you're in a smaller group and kill some people, would you get more alliance points if you're in a big group? Absolutely, yes. I'm able to show you later. Right now, if you get like a solo kill on someone who's like, I was veteran rank 10 and someone was like level 46 or something like that, I got like 700 alliance points for the solo kill. But if like a full group had helped me kill it, I would have gotten like 100. And if a Zerg killed him, I would have gotten like 40. So you get a lot more based on lower numbers. Alex, where are you getting the info from that your entire group shares XP? I doubt this is the case. I've done it, played it, seen it.
Yeah, it's happening on the screen right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it. That's experience. I think that's the best experience. Actually doing it. Also, I've been a part of the group that's crowned 2 emperors, if that helps. Is it possible to convert light armor gear looks to Imperial armor heavy look, or is it only light to light, heavy to heavy? It's light to light, heavy to heavy. And it also is like a level 10 item gets transferred into a level 10 version of Imperial, so you don't just always look the same. It kind of varies. Yeah, I'll be right back. Just answer a question or two real quick for me, sorry.
Sure, yeah, I see one right there that says, sounds like spamming AoE is the way to go, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. A lot of AoE abilities are very low, especially those that don't have a synergy effect with them in terms of damage. It's good for ultimate gain, but in my experience, it hasn't been the most effective way to get things done unless you're dropping ultimates on people or there's a synergy. There's definitely a place for single target players, but you typically do want to have... Are we gone? I don't know if you guys can hear me. You typically do want to have...
We weren't gone. I just turned off the stream so I could talk to my girlfriend before she left.
Yeah, you do want to have some AoE in your group, but at the same time, having a strong single target focus isn't completely bad. I think the Nightblade, which has the best single target in the game currently, closely followed by the Sorcerer, they have a place in groups. Even though they have nothing that they can contribute otherwise, but having an AoE ultimate or something that you can use in coordination with your group does make a huge deal.
Yeah, it comes down to what you're doing. Like if you're defending a keep, yeah, AoE is going to be better in a lot of cases. But if it comes to like, smaller encounters, resources, things like that, just straight up defending the outside of a keep. When you're like open field, AoEs mean a whole lot less because people can spread out. AoEs only work so well because of choke points. So, like, having single target is going to be really, really important when you run into groups in the open field and it's just an open flat plane and everyone's spreading out. AoEs kind of don't really help a lot. Whereas single targeting down a healer is important.
Yeah, you have to have a lot of people stacked up for AoE to do very much damage, because it's almost laughably low compared to the damage that single target abilities will do.
Yeah, like if you look at this fight right now that's going on the screen, AoEs are pretty well useless here, because there's like people everywhere. If you're casting AoEs, you're doing, 60% of the damage you could with single targets.
Yeah, I'd say the AoEs that are useful in a situation like this are things like, like I said, Talons, where you can go in, and even if you catch 3 people on it, once someone activates the synergy, it does a lot of damage to each of those targets. But if it's, let's say, Lightning Splash, but not the synergy portion of Lightning Splash, and it's just sitting there ticking, that's going to be pretty pathetic unless they're all standing in the same spot.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have to be an Imperial to use the transmute gear to Imperial looks? No, as long as you have the Imperial Edition, you can do that as any race.
But it does, to reiterate, if this is publicly known, but it does become non-tradable when you transmog the gear. If you become an Imperial, you'll have access to their racial crafting style right off the bat, and that is tradable. So if you're looking, you won't be able
Yeah,
to
it's pretty
transmute
much
any
only
gear,
for
then
your
sell
own
it.
gear. Yeah, it's your own gear. I saw a better. How does Pure Healer and PvE gear do in PvP?
There is
Okay,
no
is
PvP gear.
yeah. There's not. Well, he's talking about if you're in pure PvE gear and spec, I guess. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot of difference. If you switch out a couple of abilities, you'll be fine. Most of the time, I just roll almost the exact same build. What if any rewards are in place for PvP? Limdol. Pretty much everything that was in Dark Age of Camelot. There's a skill line that has unique abilities that you can get by leveling up the skill line. It's not as in depth as Dark Ages was with varying things, but it's basically just a straight up you get one ability, you get the next ability, you get the next ability. There's some passives. They're fairly limited now, but they take a while to get there. Doing really really well, gank group Zerg bombing, it'll take you, I don't know, what do you think, a couple of weeks to max out the assault and support line, hardcore killing. Sorry, what do you think?
What was the question?
How long would it take you to max out, you think, the assault and support skill line?
Oh, I'm not sure. It looks like those go up quite a ways, and
Yeah, it may take longer than I was thinking. It may take a month or two.
It won't be too quick. It'll be a month or two if you're very dedicated to PvP.
Yeah, and they've already said that they're gonna up those skills and make them go farther, because there's 100 PvP ranks in the game, and I think the assault skill line only covers the first 20 or something, and they get progressively worse. But there's also basically alliance points, which are just like realm points, that work as a double currency sort of. In your total amount you've ever earned are pooled as to count your rank and to put you on the leaderboards and things like that. But then you also get them as a resource that you can spend, which is similar to gold. And
well, the leaderboards aren't lifetime. They do reset, I think.
Yeah,
when
they do.
Emperor's crowned.
Well, so far there's only one leaderboard. There could be in the future more leaderboards, such as a lifetime one. For
that would be nice, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, there's basically that, and with the alliance points you spend, you can buy siege, you can buy repair kits for doors and keeps and stuff. You can buy armor, which is really fucking expensive. Our best day of PvPing, absolutely just trashing people all day, was under 200,000 points, and a single piece of the highest gear is 650,000. So it's quite a few points, especially for the random people who aren't in a dedicated group. It's gonna take them a while to get that shit. But there's a lot. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes with PvP. There's Emperor. There's all kinds of things. Does transmog gear exist outside of Imperial Edition? Well, you spelled several words wrong in there, but no, it doesn't.
Although, with the customization that's available in the crafting, that's pretty much how you get gear that looks however you want it to.
Yeah, the only thing that worries me is with I guess it's not a bad thing though. I think maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I shouldn't say worries me. With raid gear that you're gonna get out of the adventure zones, you won't be able to change the look of those. So they'll just look how they look, which I guess is a good thing. So you'll be able to tell the guy who's wearing the epic robe out of or legendary robe out of the thing.
Yeah, well, you'll eventually be able to craft something of comparable.
Well, I think what the idea is going to
probably.
be is that you take the raid stuff and then you improve it with crafting. I don't know if they won't come with enchants and you'll have to enchant them or what, but or maybe they'll come in different ways. Maybe you'll get lots of different things. I don't know. A lot of unknowns there, but I think the idea is that crafting is going to play a big part in it. Erlex, I know you can't talk about adventure zones, but in terms of end game, do you feel that there is stuff keep people playing for a bit longer than a month? Yeah. I think the PvP alone could keep you going for months. And if the stream died, it shouldn't be. It should be going good. Yeah, I haven't dropped any frames. Should be good.
And the veteran rank grind, assuming they fix that one exploit with the group dungeon achievements, it will take a long time for people to get through there and to progress through the veteran dungeons.
Progressing through the veteran
that'll be a
dungeons
couple months
for
as well.
a really, really good, like, like people that came from WoW and are like really organized, they won't be that difficult because they're sort of like the first level of entry into organized stuff. But I mean, they're very similar to
the veteran ranks themselves to equip.
Right, yeah. Getting through the dungeons, I don't think will be too bad. Getting through the veteran ranks is going to be really hard. It's going to take a long time. It reminds me of Ultimate Advancement in EverQuest. Maybe not quite as hardcore, but it's going to take some time to get up your AA ranks, which is basically your veteran ranks. There are conflicting reports for the tooltip on the passive Prism. Does this affect all abilities or only Sun abilities? If it's just Sun abilities, what abilities count as a Sun ability? Prism. Fuck, which one is Prism?
Prism affects everything in that skill line.
Which one is Prism? I don't remember. I don't remember the name.
I don't remember what it does. I know what it looks like and where it is. It's in the Dawn's Wrath, and I think it only affects Dawn Wrath ability.
Let me look that one up for you.
Yeah, I'm getting it right now.
Oh, one ultimate. That's the ultimate on activation. Yeah, that is
Dawn's Wrath ability.
No, that's actually on any ability, I believe. That's the level 50 ability in the tree, isn't it?
It's only Dawn's Wrath abilities.
Does it say that on it?
Unless they changed it.
I think it's just terrible that we don't know the answer to this question, but yeah, I think it's actually all abilities. I think it's all abilities you get an extra. Oh no, wait, no, it's not. I just remembered.
Yeah,
it's not.
I was like, it's definitely not
it's not. It's Sun abilities only, which is anything in that tree. It's 2 extra ultimate on anything in that tree every time you cast. Absolutely, and it only counts that if it has effect. So you can't just like spam a Sun ability like Solar Barrage and not hit anything outside of combat and gain ultimate. It doesn't work that way. I did try that. So there, you have your confirmation. It is only Sun abilities, which is everything in that tree, and it has to actually be effective.
Although I do want to say that it's Dawn's Wrath abilities. Sunfire does fire damage, but everything else in there just does generic, and every other Templar ability just does generic magic damage. So
yeah, which is kind of sucky. I really wish they'd fix that.
Yeah, it's kind of silly.
Yeah,
Solar
I wish they would fix that.
At least should use fire damage.
Yeah, I think Solar Flare should use fire damage as well. Yes, hashtag Tower Protocol. This is what somehow was dubbed Tower Protocol, where we get on top of a tower and fuck people up for a while. If the video gets really boring, someone tell me, because I've got a really long video here and I can skip around to good stuff. Yes, the Q&A is still going, and which skill gives you the hardest time in PvP as a healer? Poison Arrow. Poison Arrow is the devil. Poison Arrow needs to be like removed from the game. I hate it.
Okay. What?
Dude, it's the fucking most annoying thing ever because that's all people cast. Like idiots just.
Yeah, but what idiots cast.
Right, but it's so annoying. Good. No, but it's so annoying when you're a healer and like you'll get. There will be points where you're fighting a Zerg, and all of a sudden some douchebag comes out of stealth and he just starts spamming Poison Arrow, and it's like, well, I guess I'm not casting the rest of this fight. I'll just have to use instant cast abilities. I think we all die right here. Maybe not. I don't remember.
Yes, they did change health to 15 per attribute point, which did not solve the problem because you still only get 10 from gear enchants.
Yeah, that's the problem. They need to up the gear enchant, which I think is part of the plan. I just think they haven't gotten around to that yet. I would almost guarantee you're going to see health on armor go up by 50%, so that it'll be a lot more equal. Like you'll be able to go use. That'll fix the issue. You'll be able to use armor or attributes completely however you want to.
You know, I don't remember what pre-CU Star Wars Galaxy's healing was like.
I do not remember that either.
Yeah, I was around for that, but I don't really remember it. But I do actually really enjoy the healing in ESO. It's a lot more engaging than it is in games like WoW, where you're playing, health bar whack-a-mole.
Yeah, it's
a lot of, the smart targeting can be very frustrating, but the mechanic where you're kind of watching where people are and their health bars and trying to place AoEs in inappropriate locations is it's pretty engaging and enjoyable.
Yeah,
so long
the
as you're not
healing
playing with idiots that can't move into the heals.
Yeah, the healing changes from most games where it's like I'm supporting them by myself and it's my job to keep them alive almost solely, except for them like not staying in AoEs, and turns more into a, I'm doing my job the best I can, but you have to help me out quite a bit. It's more like a 60-40 relationship where, if people are taking a lot of damage, they need to get close to you, or they got to position themselves in ways that you can heal them, because you can't always just charge in and start healing someone. And Grand Healing helps with that, and like Smart Heals help with that, but there are still times when you need them to come back to you because you don't want to go to them, and that's something you don't see in a lot of games. Positioning becomes a bigger point.
The onus is definitely more on the player to get in the heals than for the healer to go seek you down. And that does help to make AoEs a little more effective, because players are kind of naturally clumped up if they want to get any heals at all.
Yeah, there are instant heals, but they're like instant single target heals, but they're really expensive. So usually those are like emergency heals. Your biggest heals are like AoE close to you, close to the healer, which kind of puts the healer at risk. Grand Healing, in my opinion, is actually like the best heal in the game, all things considered, because it's AoE and very long range. The downfall to it is that it takes like 3 seconds of being on the ground to get its full healing out. So a lot of times if people are doing lots of moving, they've got to stop and stay in it to get healed effectively. So it definitely makes it interesting. Like a lot of times when I'm trying to be all pro status, I'll drop a Grand Healing in front of someone where I think they're going to go, so they actually run through it during their entire duration, rather than like only catching half of it because I cast it on them. Yes, that Facebook sound.
So let's see, what's that question we missed? If you have a group going in enemy territory and attacking keep to break the link, what is the shortest time that is possible to cap a keep that is only defended by NPCs? Can you get it before a lot of player forces come?
I can actually answer that. It takes 5 minutes to get a door down with a ram, which is the fastest way, I believe, to get something through, a ram on the door. So if you're able to just shit on guards and push straight through, it should take you about 11 minutes to take a keep. If no one is defending it.
5 minutes if they have the lumber mill?
Yes, it's like so close because it doesn't heal much when you're knocking through the door. So yeah, it's right about 5 minutes per door. Plus you got to kill guards, but if you kill the guards like while running the ram, and that's having like the ram filled at all times, like 5 people nearby it, all that. So, and even like 2 players could really screw that up, because if they start dropping oil on you, it could be a lot of problems.
I guess this one's kind of an open-ended question, but what do you think about Dragon Knight damage dealer with a staff, or Templar damage dealer with two-handed or a bow? Which is really funny because you're describing probably some of the most popular builds for both of those classes.
Yeah, they both work. It's all any build with any weapon, like any class with any weapon, can work if you do it correctly, and that's where it really comes down to doing things right way. Like you could also make any weapon with any class really bad. It's very easy to fuck it up. Very, very easy to fuck it up.
Yeah, like if you choose Nightblade at character creation.
And then try to AoE, yes. That would definitely be a problem.
How viable is Templar as far as solo survivability? I would say it kind of depends on what you're talking about, but for PvE and small-scale PvP, I would say almost the most survivable. Although I'm kind of grouchy right now because they ruined my Magicka regen. But
are you answering the how viable is Templar as far as solo survivability?
Yes.
I would say they're second to a Dragon Knight.
Yeah, Dragon Knights are just broken.
Dragon Knights have a really good single target instant cast heal, just like Templars do, except for Dragon Knights only affect themselves. But when you're talking about solo survivability, they're kind of on the same plane. But Dragon Knights also have more like CC and stuff like that. So I think they're just slightly ahead on solo survivability. I'll say this, a Templar and a Dragon Knight together are the 2 strongest things to be together for survivability. A Templar and a Dragon Knight can make some magical things happen.
But if you're looking for a duo, really good plan, because of the Lightning Splash synergy and the Talon synergy together, you'll just be completely destroying packs of mobs together.
Yeah, it's true. I'll tell you the funniest, I guess it's the best part about the system currently the way it is. If I was to make a 4-man group and I want it to be the best 4-man possible, it would have one of each class. without any doubt.
I
mean,
don't know, my group wouldn't have a Nightblade in it. I'm not gonna lie.
My group would have a Nightblade in it for killing healers, because nothing kills a healer faster than a... The problem with the sorcerer, is if you got a couple of guys with poison arrow. Like I'm talking, if you're going to 4v8 or 4v20, I'd rather have that Nightblade there to kill the person who makes it in, or kill the person that's really causing a problem. Especially if there's a bunch of poison arrow spam, because that makes Sorks pretty worthless. Because they can't cast crystal shards, they can't really do anything. I mean, they can run away, but they can't really kill you. Here's a good question though. Daok melee tunes suffered during keep attacks and tower defense. What sets ESO apart in terms of keeping melee players engaged in those kinds of fights? The biggest thing would be that a melee player isn't stuck being melee. Like if you were a warrior in Dark Age of Camelot, you didn't do anything but swing a big weapon at things, and that's what you did. Whereas in ESO, you know, with a weapon swap, you can go from being a warrior with a two-hander and beating people down with it to being more of a AoE cleaving type build, or maybe a, you know, CC interruption / disruption build. There's a lot of ways you can, without doing anything but swapping a weapon on your bars and your action bar, go from being a melee, you know, single target killing machine to a AoE disruption or an AoE damage.
But that is kind of a non-answer to the question. You know, let's say you actually want to stay melee. I'd say you should probably play either a Nightblade for the burst or a Dragon Knight, so you can just pull people off walls. And
that too, yeah.
There are a lot of things that melee can do actually during a siege. You know, are you going to be as useful as range? No, but you know, if you're on defense, you can hop off kind of in stealth and sneak around the back and start just blowing people up and burning siege in the back lines. That's pretty effective, especially against people that don't know how to talk in comms, or people that talk in comms and don't tell you where they are.
Especially a Dragon Knight tank. A Dragon Knight tank can be really effective, because any Dragon Knight tank or melee is going to have Dark Talons. I mean, that's just like such a bread and butter ability of the class, and it's an AoE root that does damage.
Nightblade going to the back lines to just blow people up would probably be really good, because you
I mean, even the front lines,
the Dragon Knight just wouldn't die.
Yeah, the front lines, the Dragon Knight can stop a Zerg in its, you know, in its tracks in a choke point pretty easily, especially with heals backing them up. So, you know, you may be a melee class, but when people are funneling through a wall they just destroyed, and you jump down and AoE root them and just start, you know, getting in their way, a lot of times they'll stop and attack you, and then you just kind of, you know, get healed and beat on them pretty much, and then let other people kind of rain AoE on top of you.
Yeah, I guess I'd say, you know, if it's an actual just a siege, you're just sitting there shooting at walls and they're shooting back at you off the walls, you know, you're not going to be all that useful. The Dragon Knight can pull people off walls, and the Nightblade can teleport strike up the walls, so you do have that. But
you could also fire
siege.
siege.
Aren't like that.
You could also fire siege.
Yeah, or you could fire siege. But most sieges aren't like that. There's usually a lot going on in the ground with people coming out to try and burn your shit, and then you trying to kill them. You know, just sitting on your horse waiting for somebody to call out where people are going to be is perfectly viable. You know, and running up and down, responding to those kind of things. And I think, you know, usually that's going to be smaller group combat, so it works really well as a melee character.
Yep, I agree. Do you mix them?
And when you breach the keep and they're just standing there, you know, being able to just charge in and start blowing up unsuspecting people, you know, like a Dragon Knight with critical charge and standard ready to go, that would just be brutal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
Or if you want to go more single target bursty, you can go with Dragon Leap instead of the standard, because it does hit.
Terrible.
It does hit, dude. It hits hard. Like AOE damage, it hits hard when one solid hit. It hits for like 1,000 damage. Like, it's pretty bursty.
But standard, so good.
Yeah, standard is ridiculously good. But you can still, like, I saw Iskamar, is that his name, from Best in Slot?
Yeah.
He has a video of him using Dragon Leap pretty effectively, because he's fighting like 10 people in a little room, and like every time he gets it up, he just leaps right in the middle of the room and throws everyone up in the air. Erlex, would it be better to specialize in a certain weapon type or be decent with 2 different weapon types? Specialize in multiple weapon types. You can do that. I mean, especially if it's like dual wield and sword and shield, for example. Those are things that you can have all the passes in both, and with a weapon swap be good at both things. You don't have to Yeah, you don't have to lose anything to be good at the other. Here's a good one for us. Sorry. Is there a CC skill you recommend for a Templar tank?
Binding Javelin. Binding
Yeah.
Javelin, Binding Javelin, Binding Javelin.
Yeah, there's that, or Spear Shards, which they increase the AoE of, apparently.
Oh yeah, the AoE is huge now.
Yeah, and it's a single
Huge.
target stun if you morph it one way. So
It's like a 2-second stun, but
it does do
it
pulsing
actually hits
damage.
really hard for an AoE. The pulsing damage was kind of laughable the last time I tried it, but the I mean, it's not gonna blow people up on the first hit, but it's actually kind of impressive compared to other AoEs.
Yeah, it's a good skill for like tanking overall because it counts as a small, like if you're doing a boss, for example, there's only one thing there. It's gonna, maybe not a boss, but like a mini boss or a thing out in the world, whatever. Those are usually stunnable, so you're going to stun the thing you mean to stun, and it does a little bit of AoE ticking damage. And I'm willing to bet that ability has high threat. Willing to bet it does.
It also ranks very high in terms of style points.
Yes, absolutely. It has very high style points because it looks really cool. Plus, it's actually really good synergy too for a tank to have because you can throw the spear shards, and if you have it morphed to the other way where you get Magicka back, right? Isn't that one of its morphs for picking up the spear? Yeah, you get Magicka back with one of the morphs, so your healer could go pick it up and get Magicka back, or the morph that does AoE damage, you could let your Nightblade or whatever run up and grab it for extra stamina.
We're not answering questions about the PTS, right?
What's going on? What the question is?
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty out of the bag on that, but still.
Well, Twitch has announced what the name of the PTS is, so, and
Oh God.
and it's okay to say that we're in it, as far as I know.
Yeah, okay. This is pre-recorded footage.
This is actually from a
And-
weekend test. This right here.
Yeah. And as far as the number of people that are in it, I believe they said it was what 0.016% of the beta.
That was
Population.
originally. Now they've opened it up to a few groups. If I had to wager a guess, I'd say there's like 5,000 people in it or something like that.
That sounds about right. Yeah, I was gonna guess 4.
Yeah, it's something around there. There's a couple of groups that got into it. It's not super closed, but I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty small. Does healing in ESO require lightning quick reflexes, or can a slower hand-eye coordination individual blah 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 with good foresight pull it off well? I mean, obviously, if you have faster reflexes and you have higher hand-eye coordination, you're going to do better. But in the sense of like, if you want to take keeps and you want to go with like a huge zerg of people to take keeps, absolutely. Like, it doesn't take much at all to do that. It just takes numbers and organization to do well at that. You don't have to be like individually skillful as much as you have to be good working together. In the sense of, if your raid leader says push, to push in and you don't, run away or whatever. So I would say,
Yeah.
in that sort of
That's
situation,
like the biggest thing in PvP is just go in when people say to go in.
yeah, do your
doesn't
fucking job.
matter if
It
you
goes
die.
back to that. Do your fucking job. Whatever they tell you to do, just do it, and you'll
just
do well.
Don't be a retard, and you'll be useful.
Yeah. Now, if you're talking about like 4v4 fights, yeah, obviously, that stuff's going to come into play really big. But in more large scale, like in this, what's happening right here, I could probably fall asleep, close my eyes, and just randomly click things when I like Twitch, and I'd probably kill something. Does healing ESO? Oh, I already answered that one. Yeah, we can't stream gameplay yet. We can do that on the next beta, which current speculation is this coming weekend. Do dots stack? Dots stack from separate people. For example, if I casted a dot and then Asari casted the same dot on something, it would stack. If I cast a dot 3 times, it'll only keep the last one. Quick build advice on a Templar leveling 10 to 15. As a healer, get the first 2 abilities in Resto Staff and use a Resto Staff, and get the first 2 abilities in the Templar tree, and then just play with your 5th slot for whatever you feel like might be cool to have. The first
Mighty
2
Javelin.
heals, yeah, like the first 2 heals for each thing are really, really, really good. Like, arguably the best heals in the game are the first 2 in each tree. So I would say get
Yeah,
those.
you tend to get your core abilities early on as well, whereas
Yeah,
the later ones in all of the trees tend to be more
more specialized.
interesting abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, specialized is a good word for it. Does Sorcerer have any sustain except for Dark Exchange? Yes, Critical Surge. That's exactly what your Bruiser's playstyle wants.
Yeah. Critical
That
Surge is
Sorcerer
very
still
good.
has probably easily worse sustain than all the other classes. It is trickier to play.
Yeah. Sorcerer is very good sustain. If you're talking about like Magicka sustain, um, there's also
No.
executing.
Well, no, I think he's talking about health sustain.
Yeah, well, just in the case that you are, there's other abilities that can give you Magicka back as well. Like the execute morph can give you more than it costs, which is cool. There's a lot of things.
There's nothing wrong with rolling Templar for a pure damage dealer. I don't feel that Templars always have the same burst potential as other classes, but especially in group content, if you put Backlash on your bar, you're instantly going to be performing very well.
Yeah, Backlash is a very strong ability. Also, some strong abilities are things like biting jabs. Those are. It actually has a sort of CC that doesn't count as a CC, which is really overpowered, I think. It kind of just knocks you back a little bit and like stuns you for 1 second, but it doesn't count as CC, so you can't CC break it or be immune to it. So it's pretty fucking good. As far as being a wrong choice, I wouldn't say it was a wrong choice though to be a damage dealer Templar. There just might be better choices according to what you want to do. If you're talking about pure damage, but pure damage isn't always the best thing, even when you're wanting to do damage.
Yeah, you should probably have one heal on your bar at all times.
Yeah, like having an instant heal for yourself that heals you or someone else for like 30-40% of their health, that's pretty important. Like, that can be the difference. If you were a Nightblade and you didn't have something like that, you could be dead, whereas if you're a Templar and you're like that, you're still alive because you healed yourself. And that can make the difference in a lot of damage.
Since the Lightning Quick Reflexes question is back, PvE is easier than PvP, always. So, same answer, just less hard.
Yeah. For Adventure Zones, that may not be the case, though.
I still feel like it would be within a relatively confined space, where, you don't have people running everywhere. People will probably be standing in fairly predictable locations in PvE.
For a Templar healer, what's a good secondary weapon? Destro Staff uses Magicka, which interferes with healing, and using a physical weapon would require splitting focus. Melee weapons would require getting into the thick of battle. With a light armor, user's not a good idea. Any suggestions? I would actually go Destro Staff. Yeah, it shares the same resource, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it means they're more effective at the same time, and you have all your regeneration focus sort of in that area. So, I mean, you'd want to be able to sustain healing for a long period of time, so you should be able to sustain healing or damage for a long period of time.
As far as thoughts on other healing abilities after the core first two, like we said, they're more specialized, but that doesn't mean they're bad. Blessing of Protection is definitely a good spell.
Backlash actually has a morph that does some extra healing too, so there's one. It's a like a hybrid ability, I think. It's a very good. Typically, for me, Backlash is my go-to 5th ability. I think Backlash is really strong.
There's nothing wrong with healing as a non-Templar. I think it's kind of what the question was going at there. And you don't really need, I don't think, but you definitely don't need 5 healing abilities on your bar. But I think you'd be fine even for PvE content with 3.
Oh, if you weren't playing a healer, or if you weren't playing a Templar, what would you go for heals? Maybe I misread that before, or misheard you. I would go. It's according to what class I was. I think I would go the route of more support and less healing if I was another class. For like a Sorc, for example, I would get like Bolt Escape, so I would be a very hard healer to lock down, and maybe Encase, so I could have CC, and I would have 2 heals, 2 support skills, and I'm not sure what I'd do with the 5th ability. I'd have to test it. Maybe Blessing of Protection.
Does Templar have any good spammable nukes? I'm gonna go with no on that. How about you?
It's according. If you're solo, I would say like not as good as other people, but Dark Flare hits really hard, and it makes the next cast that's not a Dark Flare hit harder. So if you have like a Sork assisting you, then he's going to be hitting a Crystal Fragments in between each of your Dark Flares. So he's going to be hitting really hard with his spell, and you're going to be like buffing him by like a solid chunk of damage. So
I would say though, if nuking is your top priority, the Templar's probably not the best choice for you. It's a really good class, but
yeah, a
as
Sork
far
would be
as
better.
just being able to blow things up, it's probably pretty low on that. Is the PvE soloing easy enough to do with almost any build? No, and in veteran content, that's a big hell no.
You know, I will say this, going back to the nuking thing, my Templar's Dark Flare crits for about 750 in PvP right now.
Yeah, it does hit
So
hard.
so that's pretty
you can't
hard.
He has spammable though, and you definitely can't spam that because it doesn't benefit from its own thing. But
No, you can spam
can
it.
Do like
I mean, you spam it for 750 a pop. It won't get the bonus from
you're
itself,
losing
but it's,
out.
but if anyone else is hitting it, then you're not losing out because they're getting the benefit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good nuke. It doesn't hit quite as hard as Crystal Fragments, but it does hit pretty fucking hard. Like, you can... at 750 crits, you could almost two-shot someone who is under level 50.
Yeah, it's respectable, but it's not. Yeah, compared to the big nukes, I don't think it's really on the same level.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably get 100 more damage out of a big crit, what's it called? Crystal Shards. So, you're not quite as good, but it's definitely up there in the realm of that hurt. If you play Dark Age of Camelot, it'd be like the Rune Master's debuff nuke. It hits hard, but it doesn't hit as hard as the regular nuke if someone else is debuffing for you. Can you tell us the racials and what they give at level 50? ESO should have all that.
Well, ESOHead's got the number for level 50, but
when
we
it
really
scales. I can tell you they go up to decent levels, but nothing like OP. And any of those, you can usually get those stats other places. So it's not like... I don't think it'd be worth worrying about. Just pretend like they're decent, like 200 or 300 for most of that stuff, like resistances and stuff.
Is there any way to coordinate two big groups or multiple ones? TeamSpeak.
Yeah, that'd be the way. Or guilds. You can make a guild called the We Fuck People Up Alliance, and you have all the guilds that are running together in that guild, so you can all talk in that guild. I mean, that'd be one way.
Yeah, and you don't want to be doing PvP not in voice chat, honestly.
I mean, you could with like a large like Zerg, and maybe have only a few people in it, but
you won't be coordinated, which is what
not
he's
as coordinated.
saying.
No,
it's, if you're looking for coordinated, you want voice.
You can use like in Dark Age of Camelot did this. You can use like macros in Dark Age of Camelot to do things, and you wouldn't be able to do that, but you could always have someone else type the commands or something like that. Like I've seen that happen before in games.
Keyboard macros as well.
Yeah, or that.
But there isn't anything like raid warning that pops up on the top as far as I know.
There's nothing like that now. Do you have to pay real money for console version monthly? Yes. And with the Xbox, you have to pay the Xbox Live account too if you don't have one, but with PlayStation, you don't have to have a PS Plus subscription. How does the healing on Backlash work? That's a quick one I can answer. It drops a pool at the feet of the monster when it ends that heals like every second or something for like 6 seconds or whatever it says. It's not huge, but if it's like a tank and spank boss, or a boss at least doesn't move a whole lot, it's really useful for the tank killing.
Yes, racials are affected by overcharging. They just give you stats and.
Yes. Yep, they are. The only ones that you won't see affected by overcharging is the Khajiit crit damage, because you can't really overcharge that because there's not many places to get it, and the Breton/Imperial procs on swing thing, because there's nothing else like that either.
It's Redguard Imperial.
Oh, yes, what I meant, Redguard Imperial. New question: Are sorcerers weak against melee can be one shot? No, not like one shot. Cloth armor.
I mean, that depends entirely on your build.
Yeah, you could make, like, if you were going like a super bursty mage or something, you could be very squishy compared to like a Dragon Knight, obviously, but you could also make a very tanky Sorc. So it'd be dependent on your build, not your class. It wouldn't be a one shot, but it'd be a couple of hits.
Visual kill. visual cues for just about anything. They kind of, because they don't even give you buff icons in stock, that's the only way to do it. The Soul Magic question's back. What do we think about Soul Magic skills? Consuming Trap and Soul Assault sound quite useful. I haven't...
The ultimate in Soul Magic is devastating. That thing hurts really bad as a single target.
Yeah.
Especially
if you Templar, if you use Dark Flare first,
that's what I was gonna say.
It hits so hard.
Yeah, if you can buff the next hit.
I tested that on Grim, and this is on a VR, I don't know what it was, like VR6 character with pretty good resistances. It was doing, it went from 170 a tick for 6 ticks for a total of 1020. This is unmorphed. To then I hit him with Dark Flare and used it, and it went for 232 damage for 6 ticks for a total of 1392 damage. So it was about a 370 damage increase from using Dark Flare first. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, and are you full Magicka build?
No, I'm not.
Yeah, I think it's much more than that as full Magicka. Like,
yeah.
I want to say that I saw or someone posted or someone said something where someone Dark Flared and then a Sork had it as their ultimate and did Critical Surge, and they did like 2400 damage with it in one cast, which is a lot. I mean, that's a fucking ton. That's like almost one-shotting a tank. Like, that is a big hit over like 2 seconds.
But you pretty much will be interrupted by anybody who sees you.
Yeah, a smart group is going to interrupt you really quick. But like in a Zerg situation, or you stun them or something, you can definitely, rape. I think a popular strategy is going to be having Nightblades who have that ability, who are vampires, and they stun you out of stealth, and then use that on you immediately. And it just kind of fucks you up before you have a chance to do anything. Granted, that's if they have it up, but hey. What are the top 3 roles DK play in PvP? They play Destroy Everything, Destroy All the Things, and Fuck You, I Win. Those are the 3 biggest roles I think they play.
Yeah, that's accurate.
But really, DKs are really good at a lot of things. They're a great tank. They're a great AoE DPS if they build that way. They're even a great single target DPS because they can pull people and get them in bad positions. Someone said lots of things that I don't understand. Questions. Alex, what is spell power? Would Dark Elf's fire spell power be more useful on DK than it would go Breton for magic resistance, or would I end up overcharging them anyway? You'll probably end up overcharging magic resistance anyway, but Bretons have other good things too going for them, and it overcharge doesn't mean it stops working, it just means it doesn't work as effectively, so it's not necessarily a bad thing to be overcharged. Dark Elves are better DKs than anything else, but I wouldn't say that a Dark Elf is a bad Templar. I would say it's actually a good race for a Templar. Especially if you plan on going any kind of stamina build ever. And this looks really dangerous, what's happening on the screen right now. We're sort of just charging into a Zerg from the side with a small group. Oh well.
It's okay, they're all running in separate directions.
Yeah, I think we've got them on the run, scared.
Yeah, they're so good. So good.
Yeah, if you look right now, we're getting 20 alliance points for kills because we're in such a large group. Whereas a solo kill is 800, so it's a big difference. But, obviously we're killing people non-stop. Alex, if you build a character to only do damage, you don't care about being squishy, how much more damage would you estimate they do than a well-rounded build? So you're basically asking around the soft caps. If you say screw HP, screw everything, I worry about damage, crit, spell power, that sort of stuff, I would say you could probably get, what do you think, sorry, a 20% increase of damage?
Yeah, that sounds about right, but I don't think that would be worth it at all, especially because you'd hit overcharging so easily.
I don't think it would be worth it either. You'd want to have some well-roundedness, all-out DPS, fuck HP, fuck resist, fuck everything else would be a bad idea. You want at least maybe I want to max out my magicka, I want to have really high crit, but I want to have a little bit of HP, or I want to have a lot of armor. I don't care about my HP so much, but I don't have lots of armor and resist to go with my damage. Like you want to have like a secondary thing, not just damage. How does the keep work? Does it have a special skill line? No, repairing a keep, you spend alliance points or gold, which usually it's alliance points because it's very easy to get, and you buy a kit, which works like a potion does. You just walk up to the wall and you like repair it with the Q key. It's one kit is like 1%, so 100 kits gets it full. I got a question on Facebook that I'll answer. How fast can you knock down a tower to break a link with a dedicated group? You don't really break towers to do that. There's only like 3 towers. Those are the outposts. Are they called outposts? They are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those sort of break entry into into one of the other zones. Like they're kind of like a linchpin usually, and those can be done in like 5 minutes. They can be knocked down pretty quick because they're just one door. But as far as resources, which will break port to a keep, you have to take all 3 of them to break the port, and it probably takes you 2 minutes to take one. You think? 2 or 3 minutes to take one, then run to the next one, another minute or 2. I would say like 7-8 minutes. You could probably clear them all out, or faster if you split a group up and are able to do a couple at once, undefended.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, because you don't have to take down a tower to do that. They're just like a flag with some guards, so you can just run up, kill the guards, take the flag, and move to the next one, and that's really quick. There are towers at those for use in defending, but you don't have to take the tower to get the resource, which is actually a really clever idea they had, and I really liked how it turned out. Is that if you are defending it, you have a defensible position, because they can't just leave you in the tower, or else you'll just come out and retake the resource as soon as they leave. But you also don't have to get in the tower to take the resource. So
okay.
it works out really well.
Repeating questions pretty quickly.
Okay, go for
it. Should you get Tesso or PS Plus? You should sell your PlayStation and get a PC. When you have skills, and every skill can be leveled, for example, 4 times, I have to use the skill to level it or just have it slotted. Whenever you're gaining experience, it will be added to that. You do get more experience for using it, but that's that. We've known that for a year now. What else we got?
I don't think you have to use the ability to get more XP in it. People have said that, but I don't know how true that is. I haven't tested it exactly, but I think as long as it's on your bar, you get the same XP as if you were using it.
It definitely seems like you get more for using it, at least with kills. But
maybe,
you will get,
maybe
the vast majority of your experience is going to come from quest experience, which will just, have to be on your bar, on the active bar.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Peasant boxes.
Is there any rank or reward for climbing up PvP ranks except new PvP equipment and titles? Emperor is one. You have to be rank 1 to be able to get Emperor when they take all the keeps, which is, sort of a lofty goal. It's going to be a hard thing to do. But there's also
PvP levels more so than the leaderboard.
Right. There's also besides titles, which you do get, there's also the skill lines for assault and support, which right now won't be like a super long-term goal. It'll take you, a month or 2 probably to get to max ranks, but they have said that they're going to increase that as time goes. So maybe in 3 months after release, when people are starting to really get to that cap, they'll up it, by another certain amount.
On the screen, they're coming up to a flag now for resource capture, by the way, since
we
were just talking about that.
Yep.
With a group this large, it's going to go down really fast.
Yeah, we pretty much just shit on it. I actually have a video. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh, although you guys are all down leveled in this, so that.
Yeah, we're all level 10.
Yeah, so that may be less fun.
Okay, I actually don't have that video ready, but I'll look for it in a minute. I have a video of me and one other person, a DK and me on Templar, taking a resource out in like a minute, just us. We blew some ultis, but we dropped it pretty quick with just us, 2 people. So if you split up and knew that no one was going to be around, or knew that if there was a couple people around, you just be able to take them anyway, and you could take all 3 resources in like minutes.
About tanks being needed, yes. Yeah, ESO runs on the traditional Trinity. So yes, you will always have a role in group PvE as a tank.
Yeah, absolutely. Healer, like dedicated healer, isn't quite as important, but you would have to have like 2 off healers in order to make up for no healer.
Yeah, it's probably better to go with the dedicated healer.
It probably is better to go straight Trinity, go like DPS healer, um, like tank healer, DPS, DPS.
Grand Healing is the best AoE healing ability for
Yeah.
mana efficiency and magicka, and it has range,
Well,
which is really nice.
well, Lingering Ritual is the best mana efficiency, but it also has the downside of being like slow to cast, and things have to be near you, and you can be interrupted. So, it's the best in some situations, like PvE, it's probably the best heal, but all around heal, Grand Healing is probably the best.
Yeah, you can go without the healer if everybody has a heal, but it's not going to be pretty. Especially if your tank's sitting, you got people sitting there
I would
trying to
say
heal while they're getting
if
beat
everyone
on and
has
they don't have any magicka.
if everyone says a heal, like everyone has Grand Healing, it would be a mess. Like it would fuck up your resources and your killing of things. It wouldn't be worth it, honestly. You're gonna want
that
one
would be
person
really
sort of
bad.
watching health bars and healing and doing support sort of stuff. Is there a role for a tank in PvP? Absolutely. The role becomes less keeping things on you and more helping your team in other ways. Like Puncture is a taunt normally, but it's also a debuff to armor and resistances by 40% for everyone. So, whatever the tank is on is going to be taking a lot more damage, so that's a good target to hit. And they can also bash, they can stun, they can root, they can do a lot of stuff like that, which can help protect people in other ways. What build did I enjoy the most in PvP? I enjoyed when I was running by myself. I really enjoyed my focus charge, biting jabs, javelin, magicka build. Like I had all melee abilities or melee range abilities really, but I had cloth armor and they were all magical abilities. So and I had like 1 heal. So I would just charge in on people and start destroying them. And if they tried like, if they bursted me back a little bit, I could just heal myself through them and just keep killing them. And it was actually really fun because a lot of people didn't expect it when they saw someone like casting a heal to just charge them and then kill them in like 10 seconds or less. So that was fun.
I actually play a very different style of Templar, so I'll go ahead and field that one too. I use 7 of 7 heavy armor and a bow most of the time with Vampire's Bane, which is a single target, hard hitting dot. Venom Arrow, which is the interrupt morph of Poison Arrow, another dot. Binding Javelin to keep people on their ass. The 4th ability is kind of a toss-up. I think I'm using Dark Flare now so I can get a bit more burst out of it, and then I use Lingering Ritual just so I can heal. And you can heal really well with that because it's so efficient, and an AoE heal that heals you for more. As I'm sure Urlex has said on the stream in the past, that the 8-second later heal from Lingering Ritual will stack if you just sit there casting it. You'll get rolling heals 8 seconds later for each time that you cast it, and it works really well. You're a bit beefier with the heavy armor, and the 7% increased healing is nice. I have a set bonus on my gear that gives me another 10% increased healing that I crafted as well. So I'm pretty good at keeping myself alive with that build. I think it's a good 1v1 build that you can kind of get in the middle of things and heal as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting build that you run.
Because that's bursty and fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting build that you run. I'm surprised at how well it works, really.
It's super hybridy.
Urlex, if you had armor overcharge with light and had the same overcharge with heavy, do they give the same mitigation? Yes. The only difference is heavy armor has some like other bonuses that you can get, like increased block value and increased healing received. So you might not be as good of a tank in the light armor. You would have the same mitigation in some ways.
Yeah, and I really enjoy that increased healing received on a Templar. It's nice. Just because you rely on healing yourself so much.